Forget everything you think you know about the iPhone 17, because in the world of Apple leaks it is already old news. The spotlight has officially shifted. The most exciting rumors right now are not about the iPhone 17 lineup at all, but about the iPhone 18 Pro, and what we're hearing could change the front of the iPhone in a way we haven't seen in over a decade. In the last few days, a wave of new iPhone 18 Pro leaks has completely rewritten expectations for Apple's 2026 flagship. We're not talking about another small spec bump, a slightly brighter display, or a new titanium color. These leaks point to a major visual redesign, a dramatically smaller cutout under display Face ID, and possibly even a corner camera that makes the iPhone 18 Pro look like nothing else on the market. For years, we've all been staring at basically the same front design. It started with the notch on the iPhone X, the big black bar that everyone loved to hate but eventually accepted. Then Apple introduced the dynamic island with the iPhone 14 Pro. It was clever, fun, and interactive, but at the end of the day, it was still a chunk of your screen missing. And for many users, the complaint has stayed the same. I just want an all-screen iPhone. No notch, no pill, no island. According to several highly reliable reports, that wish is finally getting closer to reality. Multiple sources now agree that Apple is working on shrinking the dynamic island by moving key Face ID components under the display for the iPhone 18 Pro. This is a huge deal. Right now, that black pill at the top of your screen houses an entire TrueDepth camera system, infrared sensors, dot projector, camera, and more. For Apple to hide those parts under the glass while still keeping Face ID as fast and secure as ever is a massive engineering challenge. Think about what has to happen behind the scenes. Those sensors need to see through active pixels and solid glass. They have to work flawlessly in bright sunlight, in the dark, and at weird angles. They must be accurate enough that your phone unlocks instantly when you glance at it, but never when someone else does. Apple Pay still has to work every time without hesitation. If any part of that fails, people will notice immediately. But the latest leaks suggest that Apple has finally cracked the code. The current plan, according to these reports, is that most of the Face ID hardware on the iPhone 18 Pro will sit completely under the display. Instead of that big, intrusive dynamic island, we'll be left with only a tiny cutout, likely just for the front-facing camera. No more thick pill shape cutting into your YouTube videos and games, just a small, clean hole. And this is where things get really wild. Some of the most talked about iPhone 18 Pro leaks right now claim Apple might move that camera cutout away from the center and tuck it into the top left corner of the screen instead. Yes, you heard that right, a corner camera on an iPhone. Android phones have used hole punch cameras in the center and in the corners for years, but Apple almost never copies a trend without putting its own twist on it. If Apple really shifts the front camera to the corner on the iPhone 18 Pro, it will be the most dramatic front-facing design change since the notch first appeared on the iPhone X. Popular leaker John Prosser has described a scenario where the new under-display Face ID system lives right next to that corner camera cutout. Instead of a big island in the middle, you'd have a tiny opening in the corner and most of the Face ID hardware hidden invisibly under the pixels. In that world, the dynamic island as we know it doesn't sit in the center anymore. It could move entirely to the top left, effectively taking over the area where your time and carrier information live right now. Picture this, your iPhone 18 Pro lock screen shows the time in a slightly different place because that whole top left corner is now a flexible, animated area. Notifications, timers, AirPods connection pop-ups, and music controls could all expand and contract from that corner instead of from the middle. To make that happen, Apple would need to rethink the entire top section of iOS. The status bar layout, the way alerts appear, how apps handle full screen video, all of it. The dynamic island could now fly out from the corner, expand into the screen when needed, then shrink back into a tiny dot that you barely notice. You'd still get all the features and animations we've grown used to, but with far more usable space in the center of the screen, where your videos, games, and photos actually live. Another highly respected reporter, Wayne Ma, has been digging into the supply chain and says Apple's goal with the iPhone 18 Pro display is simple: remove the unsightly black oval once and for all. In his reporting, the shift to under-display Face ID plus a single pinhole camera brings Apple closer than ever to a true all-screen iPhone. This is the dream Apple has hinted at for years, a device that feels like a single piece of glass in your hand. No borders, no cutouts, no distractions, just your content floating on a perfectly clean display. Ever since Steve Jobs pulled the original iPhone out of his pocket in 2007, this has been the direction: more screen, fewer interruptions. Now, you might be wondering, with all these changes happening at the top of the display, are the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max getting physically smaller or bigger? Right now, the leaks are pointing to Apple sticking with the same display sizes they're expected to use on the iPhone 17 Pro lineup, around 6.3 inches for the iPhone 18 Pro and 6.9 inches for the iPhone 18 Pro Max. But here, the key. Because the cutout at the top is getting so much smaller, the usable display area is going to feel significantly larger. When you watch a movie in landscape mode, that massive pill-shaped dynamic island won't be cutting into the picture anymore. When you play full-screen games, you won't see a big dark island intruding on your health bar or HUD. It's going to feel more immersive, more cinematic, and more like the edge-to-edge experience Apple has been promising. Apple has been quietly working toward under-display Face ID for years. They've filed numerous patents for transparent windows in OLED panels, special pixel patterns that let light through, and complex sensor arrangements buried under the glass. If these leaks are right, the iPhone 18 Pro will finally be the generation where all of that research pays off. Of course, Apple will not market this as just another hole-punch camera like you see on Samsung or Google phones. That's not how Apple does it. Expect big, bold language, our cleanest iPhone display ever, next generation True Depth under display camera, maybe even something like True Depth 2 with a fancy new animation. The company might keep the dynamic island name if the software experience still behaves like an island, just in a different position. Or they might give it a fresh name entirely to make the iPhone 18 Pro feel like a must-have upgrade. But it's important to understand, not every expert agrees on the exact implementation. Ross Young, one of the most accurate analysts in the display industry, believes the dynamic island will definitely shrink on the iPhone 18 Pro, but he thinks it will probably stay in the center, at least for this first generation. According to his information, only part of the Face ID hardware, likely the infrared flood illuminator, would move under the glass at first. The camera and dot projector would remain in a much smaller, centered pill. That would still deliver a cleaner, more compact cutout than we have now, but without the radical corner camera move. It's a more conservative approach, still a step towards the all-screen iPhone dream, but without completely upending the entire front-end design language overnight. Now remember what Apple did on the back of the phone. With the iPhone 17 Pro leaks, we've seen a new plateau-style camera bump design, giving the rear of the phone a noticeably fresh look compared to the older triple-lens square. The back has been evolving, but from the front, the iPhone has looked very similar since the 14 Pro, small bezels, dynamic island in the middle, and not much else. The iPhone 18 Pro is shaping up to be the device where the front finally catches up to that new level of ambition. Apple historically alternates between internal revolutions and external redesigns. This time the leaks suggest we're getting both. New under-display tech inside, a drastically cleaner front view outside. A major visual change you'll notice the first second you turn the screen on. But there's a big question that a lot of people aren't thinking about yet. What does a corner camera do to selfies, FaceTime calls, and eye contact? Right now, most of us are used to looking roughly at the center of the screen when talking to someone on video. With the camera in the middle, your eyes are at least somewhat aligned with the person you're talking to. If Apple pushes the camera into the top left corner, that changes everything. If you keep looking at the person's face in the center of the screen, your eyes on camera might look like they're drifting off to the side. Apple would have to use some seriously advanced software and AI to correct for that in real time. They might subtly adjust the image, shifting your gaze so it appears more centered to the person on the other end. We've already seen Apple experiment with this kind of eye contact correction feature on FaceTime in earlier versions of iOS, so it's not a crazy idea. A corner camera could push them to refine and fully embrace that technology. Personally, I think the safest, most likely first step is a smaller centered cutout with partial under-display Face ID, exactly like Ross Young describes. That would let Apple show real progress. Look, the island is smaller, the display is cleaner, Face ID is still perfect, without betting everything on a drastic new corner layout right away. But Apple also loves their one more thing moments, and a corner camera combined with under-display sensors would instantly make the iPhone 18 Pro the most visually unique iPhone in years. However they do it, one thing is clear. If these leaks are even half accurate, the iPhone 18 Pro is going to be the phone everyone talks about. This is the kind of design move that sparks viral reactions, endless comparisons, and a lot of "I'm skipping this year and waiting for that one" comments from Apple fans.